On to week 4. We are in the heart of the college fantasy football season. John, maybe you're off to a 3-0 start. Maybe you're off to an 0-3 start. Either way, we have 8 crucial waiver wire picks for you heading into this week. And it's not the fluff, John. Everybody on our list this week, 30% or lower. We've got some deep dives, some guys that are 6-7%. If you have questions throughout the week, start sit anything, you can drop us those comments. We see you have been doing that week after week. We're crushing it with the views. We appreciate all of our viewers. Make sure you're subscribed. And without further ado, John, let's get into our first quarterback of the week off the waiver wire.
Absolutely. And to keep things simple, I don't want to butcher his name. I'm going to go JKS. Matt, it's amazing what this young man has done. And he was a 4-star recruit last year coming out of high school, going to the California Golden Bears. He's only owned on 24% of teams right now. And currently, he is CFF quarterback 51 with 75 points. But that is a little misleading because there's an FCS game in there in which he basically did not have to do anything for them to win. And PFF likes this young man, Matt. They've given him an 87 grade after 3 games. That's a B+. He has twice produced over 25 fantasy points, and he has 772 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. Matt, I think he's the real deal, and I don't care where he goes next year. I want to enjoy this young man this year.
John, his next 5 games, San Diego State, Boston College, weak on defense this year. Duke, 123rd in the country in defensive ranking. UNC, and then Virginia Tech, who was tied for the first team in the country to fire their head coach. Pretty optimistic outlook here to start the season with JKS. All right, John, on to our next quarterback here. That was Steve Angeli. He's really turned it on these past 2 weeks, but it had a big week 3 in particular.
Absolutely. And we preach system and opportunity when we are playing college fantasy football and when we recommend people to start and pick up. Matt, is there a better passing team than Syracuse as far as opportunity? They just throw the ball all over the field. And I was a little bit nervous about Angeli, the transfer from Notre Dame going over to Syracuse. But he's only on 20% of teams right now. And last week, Matt, I know it was a marshmallow game, but you still, when you produce 54.7 fantasy points, Matt, and your quarterback won, it opens my eyes. I thought he played well against UConn in the second half, late in that game for the win for the Orange. Hey, CFF quarterback 18 for the season, and he has a PFF grade of 86.3. Matt, you could definitely do worse than Steve Angeli. I believe in this offense under Fran Brown. I think he's going to be able to produce points for you.
I'll tell you what I really like about Angeli. 40 passing attempts week 1, 53 passing attempts week 2 against UConn, 32 against FCS Colgate. He's got Clemson up next. He's got Duke. He's got SMU. John, he's going to be throwing the ball a lot, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the opportunity. I mean, it's just such a great system, Matt. And then they lost Yassine Willis last week, didn't play. Their running back. I mean, he's going to throw between 35 and 42 times each week.
All right. I'm going deep, John. I'm digging in here. 6%. I think it's Nick. Is it Minicucci? You heard him.
Minicucci from the show I watched the second half of that game.
I was going to say, you would have been watching Delaware UConn last week. One of the few. I was impressed. I was trying to find, we try to highlight a range of guys, right? In only 6% ownership. So even in the most competitive leagues, I think he's going to be available. And I just talked about it, right? I like volume. 36, 36, and 34 passing attempts in his first 3 games of the season. He's played Delaware State, Colorado, UConn. All right, Colorado is a big swing for Delaware moving up from the FCS, right? Yes. So if you just take Delaware State, 33 fantasy points. And then you take UConn, 34 fantasy points. He's got a 65% completion. He's got 5 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, FIU, Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, MTSU. It's only getting easier from here, right? The rest of the way through, you get the Conference USA schedule. Maybe he's not somebody that you're blowing a ton of fab on or automatically putting in your lineup, but this is a really nice option to have coming off your bench.
Without question, Matt, and if our viewers don't know, they were an FCS program forever, and they were actually a pretty good program, and now they're 2-1. And let's just say Conference USA is not the most challenging defensive conference in the nation. So I agree with you totally, Matt.
All right, on to the running backs here, John. It's Ty Edwards. It's the next man up at the running back position for Rich Rod, right? Jaheim White, he's out for the season, and it looks like Edwards is going to carry that mantle.
Yeah, and, I had so much Jaheim White, and it broke my heart last week. And the problem was I did not know, and no one really did, who was going to carry the bread for the Mountaineers. But we got our answer last week, Matt. He had 25 carries for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ty Edwards, Matt, that is massive opportunity. I looked him up. He's been on campus for a real long time and has never really gotten that opportunity. But he's 6'2" and 225-pound redshirt senior. He looks like the workhorse in Rich Rod's offense, Matt. I'm going to put in a lot of fab bid for Ty Edwards. I just hope I can get him because I think people are going to go crazy to put him on their rosters.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I feel like if you are competing, you're on the edge, you need to go spend the money. Yes. Now is the time, right? Like we talk about it all the time. You want to burn that fab early in the season, but if you haven't yet, if you have the lead in your fab budget, you really can't overspend on Ty Edwards. It's a clear system fit. It's not a 1-week fluke, right? There's a real proven process with this. John, one thing I want to point out, talking about proven process, is we get comments on the YouTube video each week. Hey, you guys should do like a start sit segment, or you guys should do a specific week by week segment. We do that. All right. And that is available over at patreon.com/rookiebigboard. So all the Rookie Big Board patrons, they get access to a second college fantasy football show each week. And John, I just need to brag on us. Absolutely smashing it. We put a bar at 15 fantasy points per week. If we give a sleeper pick, not a consensus, normal play. If it's over 15 fantasy points, we consider it a hit. Through the first 2 weeks, we are 20 for 29 on those hits. That's a huge rate for us. We went 7 for 9 last week. The link to join will be in that episode description. If you need that double dose of CFF content, we're really helping you build out those championship rosters. But John, another running back for us available here. And on this one, we're going to Oklahoma. And I came up with the caption here, Jaden Ahu, because he was my guy in the offseason. He's an absolute disappearance. It's Tory Blaylock instead in this Sooners offense.
And I have to be a little honest with the viewers. When I was doing my DFS research on Thursday and Friday, I had a decision between Kevin Riley of Alabama and Tory Blaylock on Oklahoma. Now, I played 3 cash game lineups every week. Matt, I took Blaylock on 1 and Riley on 2. And let me just say, Blaylock's lineup cashed for me. So I wasn't sure. And I did think Alabama was in a good spot. But Blaylock came up to the Northeast. He ran against Temple. Obviously not the most difficult challenge in the world. But Matt, he scored 22 fantasy points. He had 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. He's only on 11% of teams right now. And I went deeper into the advanced stats, Matt. 100 of his 168 yards are after contact. And he averages 3.23 yards after contact. He's 5'11", 203-pound freshman. Matt, he likes to hit. And more importantly, he hurts other people. It's going to be a challenge in the SEC. I get it. But Blaylock is definitely worth stashing for now on your roster.
All right. I like that. I think that's a good pivot, right? We talk about it all the time. You got to be willing to pivot, especially when a coach tells you early season who's the hot hand at the running back position.
Yes.
All right, John, I'm digging deep again. All right. I'm going down to Kejon Owens at Florida International. And I want to point out for all of our viewers who appreciate some good graphics, because I put a lot of effort into finding a good photo. Man, in this college football world, everyone's transferring. I don't know what FIU is doing with their photos, but everything's grainy and terrible. So this is how, if you see an ugly photo, that's just how deep we're digging here. All right. That's in-depth analysis. But Kejon Owens at 6% ownership deserves to be talked about. He has 2 rushing touchdowns per game against Bethune-Cookman, which was week 1. And then for FAU, which was this past week, in between was Penn State. We could throw out the Penn State game for a Florida International running back, right? So essentially, he's averaging 2 touchdowns a game. And even against Penn State, he rushed for 78 yards, and he averaged over 5 yards a carry. He has 322 rushing yards on the season, averaging over 7 yards a carry. Delaware, UConn, Western Kentucky, Kennesaw. Owens is a priority ad for me this week, John. He's shown that he's going to be a touchdown specialist and that he's highly efficient with the ball. Those are 2 big check marks for me at the running back position.
And you know, Matt, I looked him up. He's over 6 feet and 205 pounds. He's a big back for Conference USA, and that schedule is very tasty moving forward.
Absolutely. And I promise I did not put him on the show sheet. John has Chris Brazzell. I did put the headline, John, and I put the next Jalen Hyatt, not for a skill set 1-to-1, but the way that he took over the Georgia game reminded me of those big games with Jalen Hyatt in the Josh Heupel offense.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible performance he put on. And by the way, what a game between Georgia and the Volunteers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, of course.
It was good. It was good.
But, man, from a football standpoint, I had such a great afternoon.
Yeah.
Matt, I think you have to pick him up at this point. 28% ownership. Look at that. He has caught 20 of 27 targets for well over 350 yards. Averaging 18.2 yards per reception. And Matt, I dug a little deeper on PFF earlier this evening. They've given him an 82.2 grade. I like that. And he lines up on the outside, Matt, 95.7% of the time.
Yeah.
He's going to have mismatches. You know, they do that wide field, right? He's going to be one-on-one. And his ADOT, Matt, for the season, 14.3. And against Georgia, it was 23.2. He went deeper, and Joey Aguilar got him the football deep. I like him a ton this week.
Yeah, and John, speaking of Joey Aguilar, if you watched our Underdog live draft videos, we took late shots on Joey Aguilar in both of those videos. And to give folks an update, the first video, we are in 4th place in our league, very close to cashing that ticket into the playoffs. The second video, we are in 2nd in our league, and we're holding that ticket to the playoffs right now. So 2 really good teams. We hope you tailed us on some of those picks. We have one more wide receiver, John, to take us home this week. We're going to Indiana, and that is Omar Cooper.
Absolutely. And you know, Matt, I have not heard any chatter about this young man, and I'm a little bit surprised. Everyone who has listened to me all year knows that I'm a Kirk Cignetti fan, especially for college fantasy football. Hey, Matt, the Hoosiers have reloaded, and that offense is scoring again. Cooper is only owned on 10% of teams. And Matt, he was 10 for 10 in targets for 207 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a redshirt junior at 6'0", 204 pounds. And I looked him up last year, Matt. He averaged 21.2 yards per catch. He's a little older. He's a 4-star recruit from 2022. But PFF has given him 86.8 grade this year so far. Matt, I think you might get him a little cheaper than some of the other wide receivers. And we actually have one more for the fans, everyone. Sorry, we do have one more wide. Don't get mad at us. We got a third one for everyone.
Yes. I misspoke. Harrison Wallace III from Ole Miss is also on the roster, John. And we cannot forget about him because you had him listed on the Sleeper Show last week. And folks who started him would be very happy, but he's still available on 28. He's just owned in 28% of leagues.
Yeah, Matt, this is one of the advantages to being a patron with us at the Rookie Big Board. Last week on our Sleeper Show, I told everyone to go out and get Harrison Wallace. I started him in 4 of my 9 season-long leagues, Dynasty, you know how many leagues. I was so happy, Matt. 28% ownership is just crazy low at this time. Matt, he's CFF wide receiver 21 so far this year. 25 targets for 15 catches and 339 yards, 22.6 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. And once again, PFF likes him with a B- grade at 82 so far. And yes, everyone, he is the former wide receiver at Penn State. And I did profile him on Fantrax as a waiver wire. We just didn't do it in the video, but now he should be over 60% by the end of this week.
Yeah, now is like, if you don't have him now, like this is your last shot. This is the absolute last shot. So there you go. That is 9 players owned in less than 28% of leagues that are going to be priority ads for us this week. You should be adding them on your waiver wire. If you want that double dose of CFF content to get you ready for week 4, the link to join the Patreon will be in the episode description. Make sure you're subscribed because we're going to be back here each and every week, making sure that we are leading you on to those college fantasy football championships. So with that being said, John, we are on to those week 4 victories.